Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Glad to see you all here this morning and to have you participate in your Paulding County government. I will at this time call the work session for the February 27th Board of Commissioners meeting to order. And I see a couple of elected officials, Mayor Boykin Austin, glad to have you here, sir, and also Sheriff Gullidge. It's always good to have you in our premises. I'd like to ask Lieutenant Hess to bring forward the citizens wishing to speak and ask you to turn off any mobile devices. And we're very honored to have to present the colors or to help us salute the colors and also provide our invocation, Pastor Gene Morehouse from Westside Christian Church. Thank you, Pastor. Well, stand if you're able.
Let's go to the Lord in prayer, please. Heavenly Father, as we have seen schools attacked by an evil individual, we ask, Lord, that you watch over our students here. Get this county as a safe county where students feel safe to go to school. I thank you for our first responders, how they react and how they come to the rescue. During that big, heavy snow, so many people needed encouragement and help, and they were there. We thank you for our commissioners and their struggles to do what you want them to do. May they always be pleasing in your sight, Lord. We thank you for the attorney that watches over them and keeps them out of trouble legally. And may she be blessed and strengthened. Amen. And we ask, Lord, that we look after each other. A county without love, without people caring for one another, would be a horrible county to live in. I'm so grateful that I have been able to move to this county and see the love and the compassion and the outreach of individuals to one another. We love you, Lord. We thank you for your love and compassion to us. Strengthen us in our daily walk. And as some would blame inanimate objects for the evil in this world, let us never forget that Cain killed Abel with a rock. And maybe we should outlaw the size of a rock or the use of rocks. It's people that need to be changed. Help us to repent and come to you, Lord, and live in a Christian nation, in a Christian county, loving you and serving you, God. In Jesus' name, all God's people said. Amen. Please remain standing for the pledge to the flag. Ready? Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Thanks again, Pastor Morehouse. It's beautiful.
You're welcome.
The February 13th, 2018 work session minutes, the February 13th, 2018 board meeting minutes, and the February 20th, 2018 town hall minutes are available for review. Under announcements, our Positively Paulding segment this morning is on Keeping Paulding Beautiful. We have a 2017 recap video with Robert Cabrera to kind of tell us some about this video and also what's coming up to Keep Paulding Beautiful for 2018. So let's watch the video together.
Our year was an exciting one with KTV doing 38 projects and events with the support of a serving community of 164 volunteers, 525 volunteer hours. These projects and events take on many forms, some of which will be mentioned today. The first event is Bring One for the Chipper. A cooperation with KTV, Paulding County DOT, and Home Depot to chip 176 trees with the mulch being distributed throughout Paulding County. Next is our EnviroScape program. It is in place to reach our Paulding County third graders. EnviroScape effectively communicates our shared responsibility for the environment. This program is led by our own Nancy Hightower and Erica Pope, both who serve on the KTV board. This past year, We had 2 shredding events, one in March and one in October. These 2 events together kept 11,739 pounds of paper waste going into the landfill. The Great American Cleanup is Keep America Beautiful's biggest project, cleaning communities all over America. And in 2017, KTV had 4 projects. The Square in the city of Dallas, Ben Strickland's Memorial Park in the city of Hiram, Mall P. Ragsdale Library, Veterans Memorial Park Amphitheater. Next is what we call the Trash Flash Mob. What is a Trash Flash Mob? This is an invention of our own. Keep Paulding Beautiful has created this concept, and it has been presented to the entire Keep Georgia Beautiful community of affiliates at a statewide conference. Simply put, we use social media to set up the cleanup. Within a few days' notice and the spot chosen, we send out a call to the community, then see who shows up. These usually do not last more than an hour. We did 6 trash flash mobs in 2017 with great results. We had 36 volunteers with 36 volunteer hours picking up 24 bags of trash. The litter index. In the month of March, Keep Paulding Beautiful Board of Directors conducts a countywide drive-through assessing the condition of the main roads in Paulding County. The board uses the litter index as a tool to track the cleanliness of the entire county. Other projects or events include an Arbor Day celebration, Earth Day fair, a STEM program, Paulding Meadows Park Festival, and 4 library beautification projects. Also, our KTV Board of Directors meets on a monthly basis. Thanks to the Paulding County Board of Commissioners for your support, for the citizens who serve on these projects and events, and to the KTV Board of Directors, who are all volunteers: Judd Sewell, Nancy Hightower, Cliff McGrady, Erica Pope, Joey Collins, Cynthia McGarity, and Mary Carol Sheffield.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for the time to come up here to speak. My name is Robert Cabrera, and my position is Interim Executive Director of Keep Paulding Beautiful. It was quite a year. I got to tell you something, though, something that capped it off on my plate. Just a few weeks ago, Governor Nathan Deal presented this award to Keep Paulding Beautiful, and it says, in recognition of your efforts to engage Georgians in taking greater responsibility for their community environment while maintaining the highest level of organizational standards. We just received this on the 12th. Is it on now? There we go. Oh, I wanted to mention, by the way, you're all volunteers now. So, the main goal of Keep Paulding Beautiful is to educate our community on our role as citizens and the impact we each have on our environment. Keep Paulding Beautiful provides an outlet for neighbors to help neighbors, for our community to come together and make a positive impact on our environment. To quote Judd Sewell, our board president, by working together with our citizens, local businesses, our cities, and county government, Keep Paulding Beautiful will help keep the area where we live something we can be proud of. New in 2018, we have begun the process of rebranding ourselves. As you can see, green is the new Keep Paulding Beautiful. We also have a website, which you saw. It's www.keeppauldingbeautiful.org, and you can find all of our information on that. For the first 6 months of 2018, I'm going to do a little recap. Not all of them, but we have 32 different projects or events that we're going to be involved in. Our biggest one is one that I'm going to ask for everybody's help on. That includes everybody in the room. And that would be the Great American Cleanup. It is our biggest project, and it is the biggest project for Keep America Beautiful. We're going to, on May 5th, 2018, we're putting together a cleanup on the Silver Comet Trail. Hold on, I got a picture. Look at that. So, the reason for the Silver Comet Trail is it's easy access. As you can see by the picture, it goes through all 4 posts. It covers the entire county. It also comes from Cobb County and goes into Alabama. So the Silver Comet Trail is easy access for us, easy access for the citizens. Anybody can pretty much be there within just a few minutes of where they live, even if they live in the farthest outskirts. So we would like to do that cleanup. We've set that for May 5th, It's going to be a cleanup, and we're probably going to do some planting depending on what the need is at each one of the trailheads that we go to, because that's more than likely where we will end up. Other things that we're going to do this year, we have a lot of trash flash mobs. You heard that as I described it. That was completely unique to us. The board of directors for Keep Paulding Beautiful and myself put together the trash flash mob, which is now being used in other parts of the state, and probably will soon be part of Keep America Beautiful. Because the trash flash mob is just, it's unique in that we can do something, plant it, go do a cleanup, and then leave. It's not about planting, it's about cleaning up. It's about taking part of our county that has trash in it and basically picking that trash up. So, with that, we have other things that we're involved in, including the STEM Expo at the Paulding Airport. We do school beautifications, you saw a lot of that. The Paulding County Board meets once a month, second Wednesday of the month. Everybody's invited. And again, you're all volunteers, so just show up, you get a shirt, and we'll get you to work and to keep Paulding beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Robert.
What was the date on the Silver Comet Trail?
I'm sorry?
What was the date on
May 5th.
Yeah.
And it most likely will be morning. That is a Saturday. And what we will do, I'm sorry, I should have gone a little more detail about that, is we're going to ask if you will get involved, and someone from your post will call you, one of my board of directors, and say, hey, can we meet up and discuss this? And we'd like the whole county involved. We would like we're going to have media there that's going to cover it. This is something that goes all the way across Paulding County, but it also covers other parts of the state. So that's why it's influencing Keep Georgia Beautiful and also Keep America Beautiful. They will see it as a nice project for everybody to get involved in.
Robert, since we don't know when we'll be fortunate enough to get you back, would you comment on grants? I know you're really making a big effort to get some available grants.
Yes, sir. We're working through Keep Georgia Beautiful to look at grants. We're talking mostly to companies that would like to provide grants to us. We also have the Keep America Beautiful has a grant for cigarette butts. That has just come up. We just applied for several grants having to do with putting recycled receptacles in different parts of the county, places where they may be needed that they're not now. Now, we have a lot out there, but we're still looking to provide more, especially around some of the cities and some of the areas that are heavily populated. So we're pursuing more grants specific to those things.
Thank you so much for your hard work and your efforts and your unifying people to do this.
Well, thank y'all. I greatly appreciate your support on what we do. Because every one of you have told me at one time or another that this is something that you believe in strongly. And I think that some of the things we'll do for the future will make an impact. Some of the things we're doing now will make an impact in the future. That's one of the things I wanted to say, was that when we look at the litter index, you saw the litter index that covered 8 years. I'm sorry I'm taking so much time, but that covered 8 years. What I have on the website now, which everybody has access to, but what's on the website now is actually something we're doing monthly starting this year. So right now we have January and February. We're doing a drive-through, we're doing a count, and we're putting it on the website. So you can see on a monthly basis what your post looks like. And that information is really about tracking for how do we best use our assets? How do we best take the money that we do get from grants and from other folks that want to help what we do? And where do we best place it? And it's like I got in the discussion here just a little bit earlier. We know the what, we know the how, we don't know the why. The what being is trash. People are throwing trash out. The how, they're tossing it out the window, falling off the back of a truck, whatever it's doing. We kind of know the how. What we don't know is the why. Why do people do it? And I think some of this will help. More information we gather, the more information that we put in place to be able to answer those kind of questions. And then we can use what we got. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
The Board of Commissioners would like to recognize Ms. Nancy O'Meara for the donation of the Flag of Heroes to the Paulding County Fire Department, and Chief Carper is going to report for us. So Mayor, if y'all could come on up in front here, in the photo position.
Dr. Poses.
Good morning.
Morning.
Got a little something here I want to read. Glad they could come this morning. We've been trying to get them set up to come. They had donated this a while back ago. We'd like to recognize Miss Nancy O'Mara. She's a resident of Dallas who donated this wonderful flag to the Paulding County Fire Department in honor of her husband and fallen first responders September 11, 2001. The flag, which belonged to her husband, Mr. Brendan O'Mara, will hang in the foyer of the Watson Government Complex along with the artifacts from the World Trade Center. It was an important personal possession of Mr. O'Mara, who in his lifetime served as a United States Marine, a volunteer firefighter, a police officer, and an attorney. If you look closely at this flag, and you'll be able to see it when you go out of the lobby, look to your left out of the elevator, you'll be able to see the names of the public safety personnel that perished written on the flag within the stripes. One of those firefighters was Mr. O'Mara's cousin. Mr. Brendan O'Mara passed away in February of 2017, and thanks to Miss O'Mara and her family for donating this beautiful flag to our county in the memory of the public safety heroes that were lost during September the 11th. Thank you so much for donating the flag. I know that was something you really wanted to do, and thanks to Captain Morgan, he kind of handled getting everything together and making sure everything was right down there in the lobby. So if you'll look at it down the lobby, it's very well done, and it brings back a lot of memories for things that we do not need to forget. So thank you, Mr.
Amen. Hold on just a second. May I just read this certificate of recognition? Hold on, we already covered that. Sorry.
Okay.
That comes later.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Captain. Thanks, sir. The Board of Commissioners would like to recognize Ms. Melinda Graham for her contributions to her community. And this presentation will be given by Pastor Donald Sharon from Legacy Baptist Church and also Commissioner Tony Crow, Post 4 Commissioner.
We'll let Melinda make her way down. I believe she's coming. Tony, about 4 months ago, called me and said that he wanted to do this. Miss Melinda thinks that I come up with this. It wasn't me that actually come up with this, Melinda. It was Tony Crow. Tony called me because he just felt overwhelmed and moved to honor Melinda for everything she does in this county. And I'm kind of humbled to even be asked to do this because she trumps most pastors in her love for other people. And so Melinda is everything that we as citizens and we as human beings should embody, and that's love for one another. She loves other people, not just verbally, but she shows it in many different ways. And she has lived in Paulding County her entire life. She hasn't moved here. She's not transplanted here. She's been born and raised here. And for 5.5 decades, she has served in this county, meeting the needs of underprivileged and even in some cases privileged individuals. Melinda and Jean have taken their home and made it basically a benevolence closet. And over the course of their marriage and over the course of their life, they have taken it upon themselves to, if somebody was cold, they gave them clothing, they gave them blankets, they gave them shelter. If they were homeless, they found them shelters. In some cases, gave them tents. And unemployed, help them find jobs, and if whatever need arose, they met it, whether it be financial or whether it be possessions. She would make sure that they had it, and most of the time people would say, you have to be in good health to do this. You have to be in good health to be able to help other people. Melinda's been blind 3 times. She's had frozen shoulders multiple times. She almost died in 2014 through a freak dock accident down in Florida. And over all this, she's for 45 years been a diabetic that's insulin dependent. And so she hasn't allowed her disabilities to deter her from her abilities to serve other people. What's so amazing about Melinda and Jean is they're like a bunch of government agencies rolled up into one family. And if we'd have more individuals that would seek to just show people the love that we have been shown, we wouldn't need so many government agencies. And what's so amazing to me is before we had homeless shelters, before we had battered women's shelters, Melinda and Jean took in 23 different families in their homes and allowed them to find shelter there. Melinda was honored back in 1987 as Paulding County Citizen of the Year for her humanitarian efforts. But she has continued over the course of her life to continue to do this. I've been at Legacy for 7 years, and in 7 years, I've watched Melinda Graham through our benevolence ministry, which if we didn't have Melinda, we wouldn't have a benevolence ministry. But in 7 years, I watched her give out hundreds of large appliances, washing machines, dryers, dishwashers, refrigerators. I've watched her give out hundreds of different furniture items, beds and nightstands and dining room tables and chairs. I've watched her take somebody that's homeless, find them a job, find them a home, and move their family in, and then furnish the home. I've watched her single-handedly give out thousands of items of clothing. And most people, when they think of clothing going in and out, they think of a Goodwill. Melinda has people, just random people, show up at her house, drops off clothes. She launders those clothes. She then finds a home for those clothes. Recently, there was a fire in Hiram, and our first responders did a great job. They got there, no casualties except for 2 dogs, and but no human loss of life. And what's so amazing is, yes, our first responders got there that Sunday morning. Melinda was there too. She left church. She went straight to where it was. She took the clothes sizes for the family, and she began to get clothing to them because they lost everything that they own. I didn't ask Melinda to do that. That's something that she does every time there's a fire. She's got a police scanner. She listens to that police scanner. If there's a fire or there's a need, usually you'll find Melinda Graham there. And so what's so amazing about her is whenever she's had one of these disabilities come up in her life, like frozen shoulders, she didn't stop doing benevolence. She just kind of switched over to finding families for adopted babies. When she couldn't wash clothes, she then took mothers who were thinking about abortion, counseling them not to have an abortion, have the baby, and then her, as an individual, found a home for that baby. And that's the type of individual that she is. And that's the type of individual that humbles me. Because the Bible says, greater love hath no man that he would lay down his life for his friend. But the Bible also says that we should love our neighbor as ourselves. And I've never seen somebody love people the way that Melinda Graham does and her husband, Gene. They genuinely love people and they serve people. And we're blessed to have her as a citizen. So, Mr. Crow.
We could go on for hours and days talking about her accomplishments, her heart. And she's done all this on her time and her dime. She don't ask anybody for anything. Well, I was in a Sunday school class with her for a while. She came in one morning, and she would always tell about the items that she might need and ask the church, if you've got these items, she would pull her car up, the trunk would be open, door would be open, you just put it in there. If you don't have it now, bring it tonight. But one time she came in and she said, do you know what people are really asking for? And I think she said young people more than anything. And I thought, gosh, what could that be? She said, toilet tissue. Never thought about it, but think about it just for a second. She said, they're asking for toilet tissue. If you have some extra, bring it, put it in the car. I asked her the other day, and I've asked her twice, I said, when did this start with you? And she told me the story about when she was a little girl. And some of y'all here, I remember because I was raised around Hiram. And in Austell, we did a lot of business in Austell. There was a cripple man. He had no legs. And he was on the streets down there, especially on the weekends, but he had a little cup with pencils in it. Some people would drop a little money in there. She was a little girl, and this is said she could remember when this started. She would get a thermos and bring him hot chocolate and spend time with him. And he referenced her, if I remember her telling me right, Melinda, you correct me if I'm wrong, as her buddy. That was her buddy, or either he was her buddy. But there was a weekend she came and he was no longer there. And they knew, some of the merchants there knew what she was doing. And they said, are you looking for your buddy? She said, yes. Said he won't be here anymore. He had lost his life trying to come across the train track there with no legs. But this didn't just happen and didn't just start with her. She'll call you late at night and say, hey, you got time to haul some bed spring mattresses for me? She's subject to do that. She's that person, and there's no way that we could give her enough accolades for what she's done. We probably hadn't even scratched the surface. But Melinda, I love you for what you do and who you are. And Gene, I know he's in the middle of it. I stopped by recently and went up on the back porch, and they started apologizing for the clothes they were sorting out. They said, this looks like a mess, but we're sorting out clothes here. But it touched my heart, and you've touched my heart so many times. Thank you.
I'd like to read the certificate of recognition presented to Melinda Graham in recognition of appreciation for years of service to your community, presented by the Paulding County Board of Commissioners. And we're just so grateful to have the love you have for your community and our community.
Thank you so much. I'm honored.
You want to get a photo of that?
Sorry.
The Board of Commissioners would like to present the Public Safety Appreciation Award to Deputy Don Apperson with the Sheriff's Office, to be presented by Sheriff Gulledge.
Good morning.
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 It's going to be tough to follow up. I'd also like to thank Melinda. I don't know that I've ever asked her for anything, or usually don't have to ask. She's always been in this community to help people and has a heart for it. Melinda, congratulations. I can't think anybody any more deserving than you for that. I'd like to introduce y'all to Deputy Don Apperson. If you would come up front and center for me, please. He's not going to like this, but he's got to do it anyway. I met Deputy Apperson when we was doing a Cops for Kids program at Walmart. I got a phone call from him. I didn't have a clue who he was. He says he was a deputy in Flagler County, Florida, I believe. And he says, if you would permit me to, sir, I would like to bring my uniform when I come up on the weekend and go shopping with y'all with kids. And I think it happened, was it 2 or 3 years, Don? 3? And I told him, I says, what's the deal? He said, well, when I retire, I'm going to move up here. I said, well, hurry up and retire because I need some help. And he's like, he kind of looked at me and said, are you serious? And I think he gets talked to about it all the time. And I said, as soon as you retire, come up here and I'm going to put you to work. So he retired from Flagler Beach, I think, right, Flagler County in Florida, and told me, he says, I'm moving up there, I'm ready to go to work. Watched him around Walmart, and that's part of this award is, he is like many of us in this field, he has a heart for children. He especially has a heart for children with special needs. So I got a letter I want to read, and that'll keep me on point. Some men enter into law enforcement profession for all the right reasons. Deputy Apperson is one of those men. He has a heart for kids. Upon his retirement from Flagler County Sheriff's Office in Florida, he relocated to Paulding. He immediately sought employment here as a school resource officer.
which was his last assignment while he was employed in Florida. We hired Deputy Officer July the 6th of 2015, and he's assigned to Dobbins Middle School down on the south side of the county. Soon after beginning his assignment, he sought all of his supervisors out in school administration and got approval to start a junior police academy. He had great success with a similar program while he was an SRO in Florida. The junior police academy was very well received by the students at Dobbins School. Deputy Officer included the hiring high school JROTC cadets in the program, physical fitness component, and both high school and middle school students alike really enjoys this program. They like the interaction with the younger kids, and it's good for them also. This school year has seen other middle schools in the county request a program. Deputy Officer has worked with other staff members of the Youth Services Division to update and expand the program. Now has a program entitled Junior Law Enforcement Academy and is expanded to East Paulding Middle School and also to Sam Eden McClure Middle School. However, Deputy Officer's Heart for Kids does not start with Junior Law Enforcement Academy. He saw a need with a Special Olympics in Paulding County and took on the challenge. Drawing on his experience from Florida, he organized what's called a polar plunge. If you didn't come out to it last weekend and you missed something, it's kind of, I thought they was nuts, and I'm pretty sure they are. They met out at Lake Swan, and they all go jump in the lake, and we had two of our knuckleheads on the SWAT team decided they'd challenge each other to a king of the coals. So whoever got in and stayed the longest won, and both of them are too hard-headed to get out, so I finally called a draw and told them, I said, okay, everybody go completely underwater, and the last one up wins. So I had to get them out of the water because they was all going to be sick because they wouldn't quit. But due to his organizational skills and his big heart devotion to students of Special Olympics at their first annual, which I guess he wants to do it again, Polar Plunge was a tremendous success, and he brought in over $3,500 from the Special Olympics. This is just a few examples of his commitment to the young people of this county. He organizes volunteers with his own time and resources for these programs and fundraising events without monetary compensation, only receiving appreciation and respect from the children he works with and those of us that knows him. It's with pride and pleasure that I present Deputy Don Lapser with the Public Safety Award and also with a gift certificate from Longhorns for $25.
The Public Safety Appreciation Award is presented to Don Apperson in recognition for his outstanding service to his community, presented by the Paulding County Board of Commissioners. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Come here, Sam. Steve, come on. Y'all come on. This is a supervisor, so you didn't have to beg them to come either.
I have to say, he didn't have a clue why we wrapping up here today.
The phone call was, get your butt to the office now.
Now go get back to your school.
We have no invited guests. Under bid awards, number one, discuss action to approve the budgeted purchase of an F-550 flatbed truck to Harding Family Ford in the amount of $57,937. And Ms. Pollard's going to tell us about it.
After those acts, I'm going to have to come up with something better than a bid award to do. But this is kind of exciting. We've been anxiously waiting on stormwater since the budget discussions last year. And we included $800,000, if you recall, for the stormwater program to be brought back to life. And this is the first couple of pieces of equipment. Actually, these are the only two pieces of equipment this year over the $50,000. So this is what you'll see, and then we're making the purchases for the others. Just for informational, the total cost of equipment and purchase for this year is about estimated to be about $322,450. So 1 and 2 go together. They're both with stormwater. Number one, the flatbed truck. We buy a lot of our equipment from state contract. This was bid on state contract at $61,090. But Hardy Family Ford offered it to the county for $57,937. So we're recommending award for that flatbed truck from Hardy. If okay, I'll go ahead with number 2. And number 2, we received 5 different quotes, ranging from $56,000 to $69,000, and we're recommending award to the low float for the purchase of Bobcat compact track loader to Bobcat of Atlanta. That's a lot of Bobcat. But in the amount of, that should be $56,437 instead of $57,000.
You're on a roll.
Want to read number 3?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead. Read number 3.
Discuss action to approve the purchase of a bucket truck according to the NJPA contract pricing to Altech Industries Incorporated in the amount of $134,176.
Over the past few months, DOT's operations have been without a bucket truck due to some damage, and repair of one of those bucket trucks takes quite a bit of time. So they're asked to purchase another one, and then once the other one is completely repaired, they will have, it will make them more efficient in signal operations. So, and this is being purchased off of a state contract type purchasing program in NJPA, I'm sorry.
Any questions?
No, I know the last 8 or 9 years we've not been able to purchase some equipment, and we've duct taped and zip tied and patched up and glued and welded and everything else over the last 8 or 9 years. And a lot of times the public doesn't see that. They just see folks out working on equipment, and that's very frustrating for our employees. And then you've got equipment down. So I'm thankful that we're able to do some of this. We've went cranking back up the stormwater. We didn't get as much money as I would have liked to see, but I think we'll see that over the next few years. But we've got a start on it. We've got that department cranked back up, and I'm very thankful to the commissioners and to the staff for working on that. And that's going to help us a lot. We've got a lot of things in this year's budget that we didn't put into place till after the first of the year, and we're getting into place, which is going to help us the rest of this year and next year and in the future. So I'm thankful for the Board of Commissioners. I'm thankful for the staff working together to do that, and I'm very happy for the employees that we can see some of this equipment, because that enables them to do the job better and faster and more safe, and that's what they need. So thank you all so much.
Other questions or comments? Let Ms. Ashmore join for number 4, which is discuss action to award the Copper Mine Water Reclamation Facilities Headworks Improvement Project to the lowest responsible bidder in the amount of $1,916,757.27.
I'll touch the process, and then she can have the explanation of the rotary drums. On April 15th, we did receive bids. We received 3. They were fairly tight. They ranged from $1.9 million to $2,059,000. And after extensive review, they are recommending award to the low bid. And this will house the rotary drums that we purchased a few months ago.
As Tabitha mentioned, this has been a multi-step process for us. Last month, you approved and we have ordered the rotary drum screens for the improvements to our copper mine headworks. This was necessitated to protect our membrane bioreactor wastewater treatment process, because the efficiency of this headworks is critical to the functioning of our operations at Copper Mine. and we were we're experiencing a lot of maintenance as a result of a malfunctioning headworks. We have the rotary drum screens on order. Then we went out, we completed the design and have gone out to bid for the construction contract for the construction of the structure, the installation of the rotary drum screens, and providing all of the other piping and equipment necessary for a complete project. We did an extensive, we did not have firsthand experience with the contractor, the low bid, this low bidder. Our engineers at Tetra Tech did a reference check on them and fully recommend that low bidder to complete the project. And we've got about an 8-month construction window before this is in operation.
Lori, while they're whatever they're doing, remind me what our price was on a few months ago on what we did. Okay, sorry.
It was about $300,000.
Okay, so.
And we're still well under our budgeted amount for this project.
For the long.
For the entire project.
For the entire project, yeah.
Yes.
And we've been working on that for a while. So I'd just like to point out, sometimes we get up here and discuss something about something like this issue here, and it's not something that you're going to see on the side of the road, a piece of shiny new equipment that's working. But it's something that while you're going on with life, this has got to be repaired and done and built and so forth so that we can do what we need to do with our sewer. And so that's a $2 million, $2.5 million project that you're looking at that sometimes nobody, the employees or the commissioners or whoever, doesn't get a lot of credit for that because it's not something that's out there seen being done. So, and so sometimes when we talk about what we can do with sewer and infrastructure and different things, there's ongoing things that you don't see that we got to take care of. We've got a responsibility to take care of. And so I appreciate your work and your effort, and thanks for bringing this to us.
Well, and I have to say I appreciate the staff that have been working with the existing system while this design effort has been moving forward. They are holding things together and are hoping to be able to continue to do that for about 8 more months.
And that's another one of those things we talk about, shiny equipment and staff keeping them safe and be able to do the job. They've struggled out there, and a lot more work than what needs to be, and hopefully in 8 months you guys see, I see some head nodding there, you guys see some relief in that. So I thank y'all for what you're doing today, and looks like we got some help coming soon there.
And if you would pass on to your staff from the Board of Commissioners and Russell behind you there, that we appreciate it just like you do.
We certainly will.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Reports from committees and departments. We have Mr. Eric Johnson from Comprehensive Program Services to update us on the jail project.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is much nicer being here in the morning session versus the evening session coming from Atlanta, so I got the message again. Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners, for allowing us to, on behalf of the Sheriff's Office, give you a quick update on the jail project. As you can see there's kind of a rendering, not a rendering, but just kind of a perspective of the jail behind. So we'll get into the budget. The budget hasn't changed. One thing that we're talking about, I talked about it earlier, the county sewer water tap fees, the sewer fees. We're still working with the city of city of Dallas on those fees. And I see Bruce Cole back there, so we've been having meetings with permitting processes and everything, and that's going smoothly. We'll update that when we have more of an accurate figure. Additionally, you'll see the testing agency contract, and we'll get into this real quick. The number is $750,000. We will be putting out a request for proposal that has all the special inspections, basically is what that third party is. We'll have another set of eyes out here. International Building Code dictates that you have a third party inspector out here. We're budgeting $750,000. I think that's a little heavy, so there might be between that the sewer tap fees and the testing fees. Hopefully those will balance out to where we don't have to get any of the line items like the owner contingency, like we talked before. So the design is on schedule. The GMP package will be submitted to Turner Construction on March 1st, 2018. At that time, we'll also take those drawings and the specifications that have all the special inspections in it and put out an RFP through the county for third-party testing. We'll bring that back to the commission for board approval. GMP pricing, we expect to get back from Turner Construction by April 12th. Within that time, between that and you see, will be to you for approval on May 8th. Between the 12th and the 8th, there'll be a lot of discussion on exactly what Turner has included in the guaranteed maximum price, and we'll flush everything out. And believe me, if it's not what we told you we were going to provide for $58 million, it will not come on May 8th. We feel comfortable with where we are today. Some of the numbers, I think, in all transparency, I think I came to you and gave you, what was it, 20% the schematic design budget was around $58.9 million. I've been very forthright with both Turner Construction and Wakefield Beasley of what the program is and what the budget is. And if we don't meet one of those, that one of them probably won't continue. As we've talked before, we've got options, as I've said before. The commission, you've only approved $301,000 for Turner for pre-construction. You have options. I'm not saying we're going there whatsoever. Things are moving smoothly. But we got the design development. I presented to you that we got up to $61.7 million. And this is kind of typical how these projects run. And today we're at $60.2 million. And the Sheriff's Office has been great. We're weeding through the program, which is a little under 4% of where we need to be at 58. But we feel very confident we're going to get to that. But where we are today, that's what I'm telling you, where the numbers are. But again, we feel very comfortable with where we are in the whole process. So another neat thing we're doing, we have everything that we feel is necessary for public information at pauldingjail.com. Most importantly, we have the subcontractor community outreach, where the last one was on February 22nd, 2018. There will be links to these bid packages, all the bid packages, for after March 1st when they get the GMP documents from Wakefield Beasley, the architect. These bid packages will be loaded up on this website. So not only have we done all these outreach programs, there will be links on this website to be able to contact them to get involved, and we will be very adamant in continuing to try to get local participation. Currently, we've got about $10 million signed up that they feel comfortable Turner does, which is around 17.6%, but we feel fairly confident we'll get between 25 and 30%. I think closer to 30%. We got 30.3% at Douglas County, so that's kind of where we're trending on local participation, which to me, like I said before, the costs come down, the quality goes up, money stays here in Paulding County as much as we can. And if it's not in Paulding County, it is very close. It may be Harrelson or any of the other surrounding counties around. So I know I went through it quickly. I had 5 minutes for Tabitha. You have a lot going on, but as always, I'm more than open for any kind of questions.
We appreciate what you're doing and the updates.
Yes, sir.
And continue whittling. I know you are.
Yes, sir. We are.
Well, I introduced you first before the sheriff because I knew you were going to say great things about him, and now if his head's not too swollen here, you come up and give us your report. Thanks again, Mr. Johnson.
You're welcome.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all once again. I know y'all have got an extremely busy day, and I done been laughed at for coming up here and going, and getting done, but I'm going to do it again. I won't get done as fast as I can so y'all can go in with your business. Do have the yearly report from the Sheriff's Office for the year of 2017. This is for the whole last year. The Sheriff's Office patrolled 2,916,745 miles. The total arrests for the Sheriff's Office was 3,799. We issued 5,131 traffic citations. We handled 66,488 complaints. The high volume calls was 5,916 alarms, 3,011 domestics, 5,734 subpoenas and civil paper served. We had 4,299 suspicious incidents, persons and vehicles. 3,014 theft by takings, burglaries, and entering autos. We performed 8,874 traffic stops. Did 142 DUIs. We cleared 3,522 warrants. We had 1,263 juvenile incident reports, 452 of those was assigned, and 668 charged. The detention center is extremely busy all the time. We booked in 4,100 last year. The transport unit transported 5,196 prisoners from court to prison, pickups, and all during the whole year. And here's one that goes with the Paulding, Keep Paulding Beautiful. We try to do our part of it as much as we possibly can. Our inmate workforce picked up 931 bags of trash from the roadways last year. That's the short and the sweet of it. I'll give y'all a book with the rest of it in. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them, or every one of you has my phone number, you know how to find me.
Yes, Gary. On the pickups, 5,196 transfers and stuff, does that come down when the jail is now located behind us?
We hope
Was
so.
that still, okay, it's not considered transfer then, even
No.
though you're walking them over here?
Like, if we transport one from the jail to the courthouse, that'll be in here. We'll still have to transport them from prisons and from our jail to prisons.
Okay.
We'll still have a lot of, I hope that number gets cut drastically.
Okay.
Which will put less miles on vehicles and less time for our deputies doing other things.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank
Sheriff.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lastly, under reports is Mr. Kelly Comstock with his bodyguard Mark Lethbridge on the Richland Creek Reservoir.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm honored to be here today to give you an update on some of the exciting construction progress we've got at the Richland Creek Reservoir and Water Supply Program. I'm going to take you quickly through each of the areas of construction. We've got a great large amount of construction that's taking place, starting first at the riverside itself. This is where the pump station is being constructed to pull water off of the Etowah River and pump it up to the reservoir. We've completed all of the blasting on site, and you can see the coffer cell is in place, and they're excavating down, removing the rock. That's where the pump station wet well, where the pumps will be located, that will pump up to the reservoir. The picture on the bottom left is the actual intake screens. Those have been installed out in the river, so that work has been done. You can see they put a temporary dam around that to be able to dry that area up and put the concrete and piping and screens in place. And if you recall, those are very special screens with very, very small openings to protect fish, so there really won't be any pumping of fish out of the Etowah. They will all stay there. This is an aerial of the current water treatment plant construction. There's a lot of activity going on across the site. We've completed 12,000 cubic yards of concrete. That's 90% of the total amount, so we're getting close to being done with all the concrete that has to be poured. As the filters in different basins are being completed, we're doing the hydraulic testing. So the upper right picture, you can see we're testing the water tightness of the various tanks. And inside of some of the buildings, the chemical building, the electrical buildings, the admin building, they're actually starting to do some of the coating and painting. That's taking place. You can see they're starting to place roofing on a lot of the structures as well. And they've installed all of the GAC contactors. Those are the large blue tanks in the bottom left, and they're filled with granular activated carbon, so it would be considered like a Brita filter. So probably some of the largest Brita filters you'll ever find. And so that treats the water before it's stored and sent off-site. The water itself is stored in this large concrete tank. It'll hold 6 million gallons, and that's coming very close to completion. There are interior walls, large 25-foot high walls within the tank to provide mixing and make sure the water stays fresh. Those are all done, and you can see the picture on the left. They're actually pouring the dome, so they have 2 pump trucks pouring that concrete dome, and that's getting very close to completion. This is the reservoir intake, so it's the pump station that'll pump water out of the reservoir and up to the water plant. We had some really interesting things over the last couple of weeks happen there. They put a bunch of shoring up to be able to get to the top deck. to be able to construct the upper level where the pumps will be located. And then the picture in the bottom right, this occurred last week. They had to move this 180-foot long bridge span over to connect the pump station to the shore so that staff can get out to the pump station, because the water level itself will be almost up to the bottom of the bridge. Almost 200,000 pounds. They had to get two 250-ton cranes out there and do it in unison, and it took them about 25 minutes to move that over. So that was a pretty impressive pic that we got to see last week. In terms of the dam itself, the construction's happening there very, very rapidly. Just to sort of see if I can orient you here. Here's the embankment that's been placed so far. This is essentially the center of the dam where they've been doing the concrete grout injection at the low level, and then this will be the back side of the embankment. So eventually it'll be a 125-foot embankment that'll come through here. You can see the two colors of soil there. This is actually a blanket drain system that's all gravel and sand, so that we have the center cutoff wall, the slurry wall. If any water gets through that, it makes its way to that seepage control system and takes it out. And as we talked about before, we have the large 60-inch pipe that goes through the center that allows water to continue to flow down to Richland Creek. We reached a big milestone 2 weeks ago, and the contractor has finished the grout injection process. So over the past 6 months, this grout injection, they've placed 1,080 grout injection holes ranging from 70 to 140 feet deep. So it's been a lot of effort, but they've hit that milestone. So now we've got a continuous 80-foot deep concrete wall essentially below the dam, below the rock, and now we're going to start backfilling. So over the next couple of months, we'll see the earth change very rapidly, because we'll be working above grade, and then we'll come through with that concrete slurry wall that gets cut into the very center. So that construction will take place. Contractor did finish the energy dissipation chute, so where the water is transferred from the river to the dam. Basically, it's pumped in, and it's pumped into this concrete structure that's on the side of the hill, and water comes in very rapidly. We have to slow it down, so there's a concrete square culvert basically with a bunch of teeth sticking up that the water basically dissipates through and comes in at a low velocity into the dam itself. So that work's been done. One of the most visible areas of construction that everybody is very aware of is the construction of the Phase 1 finished water pipeline. The contractor has successfully completed 8 of the 23 bores that have to take place. And a bore is where they basically tunnel under the roads that run parallel or that run perpendicular to 61. So wherever we're crossing a road, we have to go in and bore underneath it, and then they can run the pipeline through. The contractor's installed 5,400 linear feet of pipeline, and it's cutting off the screen a little bit, but the total is 57,300. So we're about 10% of the way done. We've got about a mile done of the 11 miles or so that will be done as part of Phase 1 associated with this pipeline. We do have periodic water outages that occur as we deal with an existing water line and having to get that out of the way. We give notifications 48 hours in advance, and this typically is happening to locations north on 61, north of Walraven Place. We give that 48-hour advance notice. However, there is an existing 8-inch PVC water line that's running parallel to the road, and PVC water line is very hard to locate. It's the non-metallic, so when the locators go out there, they are somewhat hit and miss. So we have had an issue where that's been hit several times. When that occurs, there is an outage, obviously. It's an unplanned outage, but the contractor stays, gives it back, gets it repaired and fixed before they go home. So that is all ongoing now. There are lane closures associated with the construction, and these lane closures are put in place to protect the public as well as the working contractors along the side of the road. They typically only do the lane closures between 9 and 4, so we're missing the rush hour periods whenever they do it. And although the state allows for up to 10 minutes of wait time when you're doing the flagging, we're trying to keep it down to 3 to 4 minutes, which is a lot more tolerable. This will continue on and off throughout the summer, and we ask that people please use caution when driving around the construction area. And what we've seen, regrettably, is people get frustrated with waiting 3 minutes, then as soon as the flagman lets them go, they feel that they're going to show the contractor what's happening by just speeding through that zone, and they're just putting themselves in danger and the contractor in danger. So please don't do that. Heed the slow speeds and watch out for the contractors that are there. We are posting regular updates on the RCR Water Facebook page, so if you want to get daily updates as to where and when the flagging and shutdowns will be taking place, you can subscribe to that Facebook page and get that update. The final project that will take place is the Phase 2 finished water pipeline that will take the water from Walraven and extend it off of 61 through property back to the backside of the Watson complex here. That design is being finalized. The booster pump station, which is a package system that's being constructed as part of that, we went through a procurement process for that and have pre-selected the pump supplier, so that has been done. We also have an RFP out for power service for this new pump station as well, so that'll eventually come in front of you. We're finalizing the easement acquisition, and we anticipate this final construction package going to bid in March, and then going to the Water and Sewer Advisory Board shortly after, and the Board of Commissioners in April or May timeframe. So that's current progress of construction. Happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
I have a comment. I just want to tell you thank you. Brown and Cowell and all the contractors have just been great. Anytime a problem pops up, they get on it, take care of it, and I think Lori's the one cracking the whip, I'm not sure. But I do appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you, Commissioner.
I'd like to, Kelly, I'd like to say thank you for all your work, and then I'd just like to ask my question.
Sure, yes sir, we are on budget and on schedule, so everything's looking good.
Thank you.
Yes sir.
That was the wrong answer. Below budget and ahead of schedule.
Thanks so much. Under citizens or the public participating in agenda items, we first have Mr. Lynn Backlini.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion that we move public participation on agenda items till after the new business, if we could.
Okay, we have a motion to move the public participation until after the new business.
Yes, sir. We're not doing any votes here this morning, so I think that'll be okay.
We have a motion and a second.
I'll second it.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries 5-0. Under the consent agenda, discuss action on 2 consent agenda items. Required to read those. Number 1 is to adopt an updated policy, drug and alcohol testing, Paulding Transit. And number 2 is declare item listed as surplus and approve the disposal through auction or trade, and then required to read these also. The DOT Truck Unit 80, 2000 Ford F-350, 1FT WW32S9Y Echo A05768, and another DOT Truck Unit 122, it's a 1995 Ford F800, a 1FDXF80E9SBA81038. And a third DOT Truck Unit number 114, a 2004 Ford F-150, serial number 2FTR F18224 CA14935. And finally, DOT Truck Unit 75, a 1994 Ford F-150, 1FTEF15N7RNA 72750. Would any of the commissioners like to move any of the consent agenda items over to regular business? Hearing none, we will keep them in the consent agenda and move on to new business. New business number 1 is discuss to approve change order number 2 to the Richland Creek Dam and Reservoir contract for Bradco Construction for construction of an internal access road for timber harvesting and heavy truck traffic in the amount of $95,609. We have Ms. Ashmore and Mr. Comstock here to answer any questions.
Commissioners, this is a item that has stemmed from the dam construction that's taking place. If you recall, I mentioned that they had to bring in a lot of gravel and sand for the blanket drain, and they're preparing to bring in a significant amount of concrete for the slurry wall that's going to be taking place. What that has resulted in is a significant amount of traffic occurring on Old Dallas Road, which goes both through Barstow County and Paulding County. A very small, older road, and we're seeing up to 90 trucks per day going up and down that, so a significant amount of access going through. So the residents along there have raised concerns, safety issues. I think we had a chicken fatality along the road. We had some issues that we had to deal with. And so we've looked at finding solutions, and we've come up with a concept where this access road could be constructed that would allow internal access from the water plant to the dam area and allow truck traffic from outside of the site to go straight on off the 61. Right now, the only access we have between those two construction areas is a very steep hill, so you're not able to get deliveries down that hill, you're not able to get concrete trucks down that hill as well, and so we would be constructing a new road to be able to bring in all of our traffic off of 61 to make it a safer working situation for the surrounding community. The benefit is we're going to have to construct this road eventually anyhow, because when we do the second timber harvest, the current access that we have on Old Dallas will be cut off by the dam itself. So we're going to need a lower grade road to be able to get the timber harvest out. So instead of waiting till the timber harvest, we'll go ahead and put the road in now, and then we can use it for the dam construction. If you recall last month when we came forward with the permanent access off of Old Dallas, that was significantly below the budget that we had, so we've got plenty of money within the budget was set aside for road access to cover this, and so we'd like to go ahead and do it now so that we can get the traffic off of Old Dallas and be ready for the timber harvest when it takes place. The cost is $95,609. It includes the actual road construction, all the erosion control, and maintenance of that for the next year and a half or so during the final construction process. And this road was not part of the Brad Cole's contract, obviously, originally. So that's why we're coming to you for a change order for that.
And you had been talking about, we've been talking about this. We knew this was going to.
Yes.
Comments, questions?
I know what you're going through out there on Old Dallas Road. I've been part of that, obviously. And I didn't know the solution. You guys came up with a solution. Do I like the 95? No, I don't. But nevertheless, I realize that we're doing what we need to do, and in the long run, we're going to be better off. So this is one of the things when I said that Brown and Cowell and all the contractors out there have just been great to work with us. They have. Thank you. And I'm sorry for all this, but nevertheless, it's got to be done.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. New business number 2, discuss action to adopt resolution 18-07, adopting amendments to the Paulding County Code of Ordinances for Chapter 2, Article 3, Division 2, related to the Paulding County Marshal's Office. And Ms. Skipper's going to help us out here.
I'm going to start, and Mr. Baker's going to finish. We actually took the existing ordinances for the Marshal's Office that were in place, and we updated those to what's really going on. They were a little out of date. So it emphasizes that the Marshal's Office is a code enforcement agency, and then it adds that they're functioning as a security agency inside this building and in other county functions. That they help with county disasters and other large-scale emergency efforts, that they do the regulations for malt beverages and wine and liquor by the drink. They are the group that is supposed to regulate the taxi ordinance, and they can assist the sheriff's office at the sheriff's request. The only other thing we changed was to make sure that the marshal's office was in keeping with our organizational chart, so that the chief marshal is still an appointed position that is a department head, but they go to the county administrator for day-to-day operations and designations for what they need to do. And Frank's here. It's something we've been working on together.
We have, and this just helps us with the mission and scope of where we need to be with the Marshal Service. And just a side note, there's been no amendments to this particular code for 31 years. So
Right.
it was adopted in 1987.
It was a little out of date.
Right, so it is a little out of date, so we'd ask for your consideration on that.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment that's more general, I think, than anything. I tell you, we have some of the greatest departments, and we really do. And I want to thank Frank. Frank coming on board has just been fantastic. I like the new organizational chart we have with Scott, the projects manager. Man, I can see a change already. I can see the attitude in the county that's different. I think we're moving along. We're going to do a lot better. You're going to see a lot of change. And, you know, Dave, I'd like to thank you because you were supported that, and each other commissioner up here, and it was the right thing to do. And Frank, I appreciate you, and the way you've handled this situation has just been fantastic.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I'd like to say that I had a couple questions out in public, and they kind of questioned us tabling some things when we were dealing with you and Scott and different things, trying to get to that point where we are today, which I think is absolutely, like Bernie said, fantastic, okay? And basically, we didn't want to get the cart before the horse, and we didn't want to get the horse without a cart. We wanted to make sure that we had things in place in our organizational chart in order to do what we needed to do. We didn't want to bring somebody in and then start talking about it. And so we did table a few things early on, and I think it was the right thing to do. We kept everybody in the loop with it. And like I said before, I told Frank and Scott both, get your running shoes on, and they're doing a great job. So I'm thankful, and this is another one of the things here with what we're doing today with the Marshals Department. I'm excited about it. So thank you so much for your work and what you're doing. You and Scott both. Takes a team.
Thank you. It does take a team.
Thanks, Lonnie and Frank. We have a great elections director in Paulding County also, and most meetings, if not all the meetings I can remember lately, when the commissioners arrive, we get chocolate and we get a verse. Got a verse here out of 1 Corinthians 16:14 from Miss Deidre. It says, let all that you do be done in love. And as we end here, I just want to say that I would never say anything that wasn't said in love for my county, love for my fellow commissioners, and even love for my attorney. Our attorney. So, new business item number 3 is the chairman's thoughts going into year 2, my year 2, and the continued cost of conflict counsel. I look forward to the chamber luncheon in June, where I get to lay out the state of the county and underscore the numerous wins Vernon and Todd have been talking about here, the great things that are happening, and the accomplishments of our department heads and our staff. But today, I feel after much thought over the weekend that we should discuss what's a budgetary and financial issue, along with some other ramifications. In closed session, I had brought this out in front of everybody in the closed sessions several times, and I think it's a need now to bring it out into the public view. We've had 3 board meetings now in 2018, in my second year as chairman, and I don't see conflict counsel bringing us anything other than more conflict at a very high cost. And I will admit I do not care for the term conflict counsel. I do not believe it's necessary. I don't think it's necessary for one county board to ever sue another county board. It totally, to me, contradicts the way we should work and the whole concept of teamwork. I remind this board that Georgia law referenced Paulding County Code Article 1, Section 11, paragraph A says that the Board of Commissioners chairperson shall be the chief executive officer of the county government. The policies, rules, and regulations adopted by the commission shall be carried out, executed, and enforced by the chairman as the chief executive officer of the county. Last Friday, February the 23rd, I spoke with Mr. Chuck Connolly, the Board of Commissioners attorney, who was hired to address the City of Atlanta complaints, which then morphed into legal action against another component of Paulding County government. And Mr. Connolly's in the room, and I think of him as a gentleman and as a very good attorney. This was prior to my being sworn into the position of chairman. Throughout my first year, I've asked Mr. Connolly to keep me updated and informed of day-to-day legal activity. We have talked 3 times in the last 6 months. When I asked on the phone last Friday about the anemic communication, he responded, "There's just not been much going on." To date, approximately $500,000, $500,000 has been spent on conflict counsel, with a large part the BOC suing another government entity in Paulding County. Because ultimately the legal fees of all government entities in Paulding County are paid by the taxpayers of this county. That means that almost $1 million has been spent by the taxpayers when you add the boards together. Spent by the taxpayers suing themselves. This has been spent at a time when we have raised taxes. I'm in the process with staff assistants in preparing and developing the chairman's budget for fiscal year 2019. Well, I can find an easy $1 million to shave off the budget in these lawsuits now. I have here in front of me the law firm Smith & Connolly invoices from July through December of 2017. Just looking at December, there were 20 working days when you exclude weekends and holidays in December. Per the December invoice, on 22 days, Smith Connolly LLP, where Mr. Connolly is the senior partner, recorded transactions concerning Paulding County legal issues. So, there just has not been that much going on. Just in December, there were appeals, phone calls, depositions, and other activities for a total of 44.6 hours at $325 an hour, costing the Paulding County taxpayers $13,888. Almost 14,000 legal fees on 1 month alone. And the other months, the invoices that I went back through July are all about the same, similar amount. Based on a 160 work hour month, this is 28% of Smith Connolly lawyers' work month, of a lawyer's work month, spent on little old Paulding County. But there's just not much going on. As I look at this invoice from December, I see Commissioner Pownell's name mentioned 29 times. In Carmichael, not mentioned at all. Now, I'm not jealous. I'd rather be doing other things. But I am floored. I'm floored. I've studied BOC meeting minutes, including executive session minutes, for the last 3 years. I find no official vote taken to allow Commissioner Pownell to deal directly, day to day, with Mr. Connolly. $14,000 in legal fees for December has been charged by a county conflict attorney, and when asked for better accountability, I am simply told by the attorney there's just not been much going on. Mr. Pownell, Mr. Connolly is not your attorney to be used to pursue your personal agenda and personal vendetta against other governmental organizations in the county. So, as I said before, and I will emphatically declare again, I do not believe any county entity should sue any other entity, school board, colleges, the chamber. I believe we as men and women on various boards should sit down face to face with mutual respect and figure out a way to come up with a plan to reconcile and find common ground, person to person, to move ahead without attorneys, without spending hard-working taxpayer dollars on lawsuits. I propose, number one, all day-to-day legal transactions are briefed and screened by the Board of Commissioners chairman, as stated in Georgia law. And number two, the Board of Commissioners drops all internal county versus county board lawsuits. Number one, day-to-day legal transactions are briefed and screened by the Board of Commissioners chairman, stated by Georgia law. And number two, the Board of Commissioners drops all internal county versus county board lawsuits. I really say these things with a very heavy heart because we have so many good people and good things going on, but we're not 100%, and until we're 100%, I'm not going to be satisfied. And I would appreciate any comments or discussion.
Well, how you like that? Well, where do we begin? I've got several things that I can address, and I will do them properly, like I've tried to do for 7.5 years up here. First, I'd like to ask a question. Which lawsuits would you like us to drop?
Like I said, any lawsuit that has another county entity that is being sued.
Can you tell us? Can you just tell me which one and what that would be about?
Do you not know which ones?
And I know the lawsuits. You're the one that would like them dropped. I'm just asking you which ones and why you would want those dropped.
Lawsuits pertaining to applications made by previous airport directors and previous sitting members of the boards that were appealed and now come back up on appeal, which continues to generate hourly amounts for conflict attorneys. And I might add, Todd, regardless of how those lawsuits were to go, there is absolutely nothing to be gained, win or lose.
And why would that be? Why would that be that there's nothing to gain?
What do you think we would gain?
No, I'm asking you. You said there's nothing to gain, and so I'm asking you, what do we gain by not having them?
Not spending $325 an hour on representation by conflict counsel.
So besides that, why do you think we should drop those lawsuits?
It's clear, and you sat in a meeting with me with Steve Hicks, the Southeastern FAA representative, Southeastern United States FAA representative. Mr. Hicks made it clear that there was going to be no consideration of what's called Part 139, which is a request for commercialization. He made that very clear. And I'd like to make sure everybody in this room knows that was made very clear. And as we stood in the parking lot after that meeting, you said to me your takeaway was that commercialization was not in the offing.
What else did Mr. Hicks say?
I'm starting to feel like I'm a witness on a jury stand.
Well, no, we're allowed to discuss what's going on with litigation in closed session. We've been criticized by going into executive session so much to discuss whether it's real estate, personnel, litigation. We've been criticized about it. When it comes to personnel, there's things that need to be discussed in executive session. That's the human resource way of doing it. That's what we should be doing. When it comes to real estate, you know, when there's things going on in the county, we shouldn't be discussing that out in the open because we're trying to work out different deals that are going on. But when we've got it worked out, we bring it out here for a vote in the public eye. And when it comes to litigation, we're allowed to discuss that, and you brought that out here. The law firm of Smith and Connerly they are not my personal lawyers. We all have different projects that we're working on, and because of the fact that only two of us can work on those projects together, it might be that Tony Crow and I are more working on the jail project. Vernon's been doing a lot of things when it comes to sewer. Vernon and I have went and done a little bit when it comes to animal control. But we've got different projects that we work on and we take the lead. But when we're criticized for going into executive session so much, those executive sessions are updates. They're not only updates of where we are, they're updates of this is where we've been, this is where we are, this is where we could go, do you want to go? And any time that we've had those, if there's anything that we need to do to give conflict counsel, Chuck Connerly, the go-ahead to do anything, we've come out here and voted on it. I have taken the lead when it comes to the airport issue. I've been here since the announcement of it. I never have left and come back. I've been here. And in our executive sessions, when we have the opportunity to talk about who's going to go to a deposition or who's going to go do this, the board has agreed, including yourself, that I should be there. And we've agreed on that. There's been times it's been me, there's been times it's been Vernon and myself. And there's been times that you and I have had discussions, and I thought good discussions, because I think that's what we should have. And you agreed, you said, I think sometimes it's a conflict for me to be in the airport authority executive session and then be in the Board of Commissioners executive session. And I said, yeah, I said, I agree, and there's been a couple times, one that I can for sure remember, but you and I have had a couple conversations on that, and there was one executive session that I talked to you before the meeting, and I said there might be a point where, you know, maybe you would not want to be there, and it would be better for us all to discuss a couple of things, and you were okay with leaving executive session. You felt like that was, and we've done that because we want to make sure that we work together, and I don't get excited about being in executive session for hours and hours and hours, but I have been excited about that we have made a point, we have made a effort, and we have, on all of our parts up here, everyone, including the county attorney sitting right beside me, we have all worked hard to make sure that we don't stir the pot that doesn't need to be stirred, and make sure that we can do what we need to do to get you the help you needed, to get what we needed in our staff, and I will continue to do that as long as I'm sitting here, work together with you to do that. But Smith Connerly's not my personal attorney. There was a time in the past where I had one up here that I didn't even feel like was one that represented me on the board. But Smith Connerly's not my personal attorney. I have gone to depositions, and everybody else that was there had their attorney and their client represent them so that they could be there and help out, know what was going on, and get that information and come back to whoever they came back to, whether that was the airport authority, whether that was the Board of Commissioners, myself. I have said since the early 2000s that I did not agree with the law firm having so many different spots in the county, because it put us in a bad spot. There's record of me saying it as early as 2002-03 as a citizen. Because of that situation with the airport authority and with our attorney here at the time being from the same law firm, it did create a fact that we needed conflict counsel. We didn't create that. I didn't start this that we're doing right now anyway. We did hire Mr. Connerly with the letter from the city of Atlanta. When we got that lawsuit and we got that thrown at us, we hired him because we had to have conflict counsel, because at the time Ms. Skipper could not represent us on that, because the law firm that she was at had the attorney, Tom Cable, that was representing the airport authority.
Just one quick point, the letter, that was a letter of complaint from the City of Atlanta to the FAA. It wasn't a lawsuit.
Okay. So therefore we hired Chuck. And other things have come out of it. I will take a second and say this, and I've got more, and then I'll stop for a minute, take a break. Again, they're not my personal attorney. I've been here 7.5 years. The only thing that's ever been paid for me has been my going to ACCG meetings, my hotel for ACCG, different classes that I have taken, and I'm very appreciative of them, and they're very good for the Board of Commissioners. And then it's been paid when I went to the depositions, my airfare and my hotels.
That was New York, Seattle, and Orlando?
Yes, it was. In 7.5 years, I gave back the first 2 years of my salary back to the county. I don't remember the exact total, but somewhere around $32,000 or so. I've never turned in an expense. I'm saying that because what was said today just now, but it's been said before. I've never turned in an expense. I've never turned in a food expense. I've never turned in a mileage expense, a gas expense, or anything else. And I never planned to be going to depositions, be in depositions, be deposed, or anything else when I took office. So, to kind of throw it out there as if I think that Smith Connerly's my personal attorney and that I'm doing anything wrong, that's not fair to Todd Pownell or his family. When I'm gone, it's a burden on my family. I don't have the easiest children in the world to deal with that are older, and that's what I signed up for. And things have to be put in place in order to take care of my family. My wife and I both work, and to throw that out as if I think he's my personal attorney, and to talk about what you just said and let people know, they know where we went for depositions, it's out there. But I can tell you, it was a hardship on my family. I didn't turn in any food. I just went and did what I was supposed to do, and I came back and gave a full report to y'all. And you can do that to me. I can take it. I may be a man with a soft heart, but I can take it. Don't do it to my family. And my family works very hard to make sure that I'm able to put in the time that I need. And there's a lot of time that my family gets shortchanged. I'll stop for right now.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I'd just like to say one thing. Man, I tell you, today's been a great meeting. Found out we have some great citizens in Paulding County that we recognize. Found out we got great staff. It's been a great meeting. I love Paulding County. I love the citizens. But boy, you can tell it's election season. This is clearly politicized, and I'm not going to sit on this board and politicize it. Anybody in this room can come talk about any of these issues anytime you want to. You can reach me by phone. You can reach me by email. I will take the time to talk to you. You may have to work out a time to sit down and talk. I am busy. But I will talk to you when we talk about any of these issues. But I'm ready to go to executive session and get some business done. Thank you.
Ron, Tony?
The only thing I'd like to say is, I know that we openly voted as a board to hire a conflict counselor. It wasn't just Todd. Whether you voted yes or no, that's you. It was evidently a majority, or he wouldn't be sitting here. And that's the way that you do county business. You do things by the majority. And this board disagrees from time to time. I understand that. That's part of the deal. If you got a board sitting here where everybody sits here and says, yes, I'll go along with that, you've got a bad board. So sometimes what you see up here, a disagreement or a disappointment or discussion, is nothing but that. It's not hate, malice. It's simply trying to give Paulding County a better government. Part of this lawsuit business is where the airport authority is not paying their bills, and we have to do something about it to take care of that. We may be trying to take care of the citizens of the county more than anything, but I really am sorry when we have to do this out in the open rather than executive session, but I guess sometimes people feel the need to do that.
One of the things that I have remember from some of the times, they'll say I'm worn out. A year and a month, Carmichael administration, I'm worn out, and I don't think the citizens of Paulding County warrant this type of divisiveness of internal lawsuits one to another. It's what I said in previously. What do we gain? I didn't get an answer to that question. What do we gain if this lawsuit's won? What do we gain? Let's be real. We don't gain anything. So we, are we going to go over the $1 million mark in trying to get the verdict that whatever you want in this room, whatever you want it to be, and then we're going to look at each other and say, we didn't get anything out of that. We lost a heck of a lot of money. We're working on a budget, and in this meeting it's brought out where we can use and need that amount of money in a lot of different areas. So, Lynn Backleen, go ahead, Tom.
I don't know that we're completely done. Lawsuits, I haven't enjoyed dealing with them any more than anybody else. This board can decide to carry on, or this board can decide to drop something. But it's a board decision. It's not a Todd Pownell decision. It's not a Dave Carmichael decision. This board can decide if they want everything to go from Chuck to you. I don't think that's wise. But this board can decide that. If this board wants to, that's not a Todd Pownell decision. You've had the opportunity to meet with Chuck, and you've done that. And some time back, you made some kind of a commitment to maybe Chuck or yourself that you were going to stay in contact with Chuck, maybe by phone, and that hasn't happened, but that's your decision.
One comment, we're the ones paying the invoices, we're not the ones sending the invoices out.
And we're paying a lot of invoices. Some folks say, and this is discussion that gets maybe a lot of questions answered. There's a lot of invoices that we're paying that I'm not happy about paying. Besides, I wish we could settle things we actually had an opportunity in December of 2016, where we had some sit-down talks. And everybody was at the table. Everybody was at the table all day. And we left there. I felt refreshed. I felt good. Felt like we had gotten somewhere. It was a positive meeting on all parties. And we left there, and we were going to be moving into Christmas time and New Year's. We had either picked a date or we were picking a date in January of 17 to meet again for the second time. We were trying to get that date worked around a couple of things somewhere around the third week of January. And then before you know it, a lot of us up here got a little Christmas knock on the door. If we didn't get a Christmas knock on the door, we got a New Year's knock on the door. And we were served. And so those discussions stopped. I would love to get back to discussions, some sort of a mediation, some sort of settlement talks, some sort of gathering around the table with everybody and working the differences out. That was my prayer for a long time before we got there in December of 16, and that's been my prayer since then. And you know, if you're in this audience and you're a staff member or you're a citizen of Paulding County, everybody deserves to be treated with the utmost respect, no matter what. We can agree to disagree. We can agree that we're not on the same side of all the issues. That's what enables us to have meetings like this. That's why there's a board of commissioners. That's why there's a board of anything that votes and moves it in that direction. Sometimes people say, what are you doing? What have you been doing? We haven't heard what's going on with the airport. And that's because I've heard, boy, we're wore out with hearing about the airport, and we're wore out with, we don't want any fighting, and we've tried our best to make sure that that doesn't happen. Especially the last year and 2 months. I think we've worked hard on that. And I think this board will continue to work hard on it. There was a meeting last week where Mr. Tibbetts gave a report. And Mr. Tibbetts is our airport director, and he's a citizen in Paulding County. And as I said at the beginning of my statement, that everybody, whether you're an employee or a citizen in Paulding County, whatever, everybody in this room deserves respect. The Board of Commissioners has worked together with the Airport Authority. We have some issues that we don't agree with, but we have worked together with the Airport Authority. And some things were left out of that report. Over the last 4 years ago, the Board of Commissioners kept our part of the intergovernmental agreement and sent in 2 payments to the Airport Authority $400,000. The next year, $375,000. The next year, $350,000. And this year, first part of July, first part of January, sent them $162,500 each. I believe that's 3 1/4. We've kept our commitment.
May may I respectfully ask how much of that 325 went to legal fees?
Hang on a second. Hang on a second. So that's $1,450,000 that we've kept a commitment on so far of a 10-year contract that's going to be $2,875,000. We've also, the last few years, we paid on the $3.6 million bond, $1,172,202.50. And the reason that we did that is because we ultimately back the bonds, and we have to make sure that we do our job with that and keep our credit rating. Propeller Investments, Brett Smith was supposed to pay that and didn't, and the airport authority said they couldn't, so we had to do that, and we've done that. I'd like to thank our fire department. Sometimes I kind of forget about them. It's one of those things you don't think about until you need them. Joey and I have worked well together, and we're working on a new fire station out 278 West for the citizens. But they have responded to a couple fires out at the airport, and I appreciate you guys doing that. Went out there and did their job. They're a county department. A little over a year ago, we voted on this board on a 4-1 vote, and I'm not so sure the one vote wasn't correct, but we voted, this board voted on a 4-1 vote to allow them to move forward as long as they got the proper documentation from the proper authorities on the wildlife fence. We were kind of under the impression that night that that fence would be done then, that the approval had already been given to them. But we did sit down and we all agreed, hey, they need to do the wildlife fence in the name of safety. We've agreed that pine trees that are infected with beetles can be cut, and we've agreed that anything in the Part 77 area that the FAA describes safety zone when it comes to height of trees, buildings, structures, hills, dirt, mounds, however you want to put it, that they can be worked on and those trees can be removed. We've agreed that trees can be cut for the wildlife fence. What we didn't agree on is we didn't agree that the property could be clear cut, because we're looking out for our environment. We're looking out for the wildlife that are out there. We're looking out for how the General Aviation Airport looks. We're looking out for our neighbors in our streams, Bluffy Creek. If you've ever had the opportunity to go out there, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you ought to go. You ought to walk in the creeks. Absolutely one of the most beautiful areas I've ever seen. And so we want to protect those. I've sat down with Mr. Tibbetts and we've talked about T-hangers for more general aviation airplanes. And I said, you know, that'd be a great thing for the county to go in together with you guys, so you can get the rent, we can pay for the T-hangers, and then it can be an income stream for the airport. So we have worked with the airport authority. There are some things that we don't agree on, but there's a lot of good things. And I will continue to do what I can do to work with Mr. Tibbetts and the airport authority to work on the general aviation airport, which was promised to the citizens that that's what it would remain. This board has paid $171,437.50 towards the water tank bonds. We have paid in 2015 and 16 $1,118,733.65 towards the film studio and hangar. That's somewhere around $2,462,373.64 that we've paid. So I am careful with what we get back into with some people, because we've had to carry that load, which in return is the taxpayers. We made sure that last year that a grant reimbursement got sent back to the Airport Authority, $624,526, which meant that in the last 9 months that the Airport Authority has received $949,526. Now, a lot of that $624 was reimbursements going back to them. But that's how much money they had. And the report given last week was that they only had $200,000 left out of $949,526. When it comes to the Part 139 lawsuit, I would hope that this board would not want to get rid of that. And it does say, we have talked about, and I do believe, the airport director at the time, Blake Swalford, worked for the county. It was an airport department, and he did not have the authority or board approval to do that. So you can say, let it go. Just let that go. Let's just don't fight over that. Are you saying that you condone what was done? Because I don't, and we've agreed that no department has that authority to do things like that. And I think that's what's prevailed in that lawsuit. But I would like to get things taken care of, Dave. But I think what we all need to do is speak the truth and pray for the truth. And I think we can get through this time together.
Well, a couple of compromises with the truth. On the fence, there were 2 delays before one vote occurred, and then the money had been given to another airport in another county. On the trees, that falls under the airport authority's responsibility. And I was hoping to go through all this without even saying the word airport, since it's such a dirty word. I have made my living for 35 years in an aviation career. But on the trees, that's the airport authority's responsibility to manage and operate the airport. I don't think the Board of Commissioners has tried to interfere with Brown and Cole or any of the Richland Creek Reservoir tree cutting, or when that we're going to get involved in, hey, you're cutting too many trees out here, we're going to leave that up to Brown and Cole and their expertise and professionalism. We don't go to Dallas or Hiram and get involved in what they're doing with their trees. and there's more important things, I believe, than just the dollar support things. That the ones you've mentioned have all been contractual and a requirement. They haven't been voluntary, like hey, we just stepped up and volunteered to do it. They were contractual, and I think what I'm looking for, if you couldn't tell in the words I said, is more of a unified, friendly, genuine, wholehearted support. Like I go into George Jones' office and sit and talk, and yeah, he needs dollars, he needs a higher salary, but we can at least give one another all the time a healthy, friendly support that we are all Paulding Countyans, as we talked about at the town hall meeting, and that we do want to work together in a healthy, positive fashion. Again, not just in 90% of the wonderful things that are happening, but let's go on the field and play 110% for a while. I'd like to see that.
The only thing I'd like to say is this, and then okay. The only thing at this point, I've tried not to talk about airport issues out. That happened at the town hall, and worked hard not to. But the fact of the matter is, I've learned a lot about airports, and I've learned a lot about this discussion the last 4.5 years, since October 3rd of 13. You made a comment about that we're making those payments that we have to make. It's contractual. You are correct. And we're also making the payments that the airport authority was supposed to make, that Brett Smith was supposed to make, that was also contractual. We're having to make those, and I didn't sign that contract. I don't agree with that contract, but I think we've all agreed this, that Mr. Smith didn't make them, and the airport authority has not made them, so therefore it comes to us. And so here we are, we're making the payments. We're not excited about it, but I'm also not jumping up and down and screaming about it every day. It's just something that was become a way of life that we've got to make them. But that's what, you know, my dad years ago had a thing on his desk that said, "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me." So we're making a lot of payments for some things that I didn't vote on, and I don't agree with, and I'm willing to stand on the promises of what were made to the citizens. I thought it was interesting that somebody made a comment last week. A lot of stuff went on last week. Somebody made a comment and they said, well, those promises, that promise was made, you know, a long time ago. A lot of those people aren't here. I had a good friend of mine that passed away a few years ago. That was a barber, and he passed away battling cancer. And every time I'd go in and get my hair cut, he would thank me for my position in standing up and fighting the commercialization of the airport. He said, my dad did that in the 70s. His dad's still here with us. He's gone. He said, my dad did that in the 70s. He said, you know, people voted against it twice. He said, and then there was a promise made. Well, this person was talking about it, and they said, you know, so a lot of those people aren't here. They're not even around anymore. Some of them are, but a lot of them aren't. And look at all the new people that weren't promised. The promise was made to not only Paulding County. That's a promise that's made to the citizens that were there that day. That's a promise that was made to the county, which also means the citizens that were coming tomorrow. The promise and commitment was made to the city of Atlanta. And I got thinking about it. I said, you know, some of those people weren't here. They're gone. They're not here. Some of them have moved. Some of them have passed away. New people moved in. Look at how many people were in the county then. Look at how many people we have now. So many people weren't here for the promise. But there are people that were here for the promise. So I started thinking about what I stand on. And I started thinking about my own faith. And I started thinking about the faith that I have in the promises that are in the Bible. And then I got looking around to see if I could find any of those people in the Bible here in Paulding County. And I realized that those promises were made then, not only to those people, but for everybody else coming. That's where I stand in my faith. And some people chuckle about that. Some people think, what are you doing? It really can be as simple as broken promises. It can be just that simple. And if we have enough faith, and if we pray before our meetings, and I was in magistrate court this morning, Roy Sparks had to do something, had to put his hand on the Bible, swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth to help you God. And if we pray and we put our hand on the Bible, and that's how the founding fathers of this country included God. And if I stand and if my belief is in the word written back then for people that aren't around anymore, but yet that's where my faith is, why can't we keep the promise? So I know I'm long-winded. I know I get criticized by that. I know that. 2 days a month, we come to do the business right here before the people. And I know that it starts when it starts and it ends when it ends. And whatever time I got to take, I got to take. And I've tried, one of the most proud things that I can say is I have tried my best to see that everything that I've been a part of and in control of is done right here on this board in front of you guys. And that's my commitment to you. That's always been the commitment to you. So sometimes it takes long-winded, long conversations and long meetings, and that's what it is. But the business of this county doesn't happen in 4 meetings a month.
That's the conclusion of a regular business.
Dave, if you don't mind. Deidre, I appreciate this Bible verse you left for us up here.
Amen.
Lord moves on you sometimes, and sometimes you don't know why. 1 Corinthians 16:14, let all that you do be done in love. It's not on this sheet, but the verse right before that talks about being strong, standing up. Kind of implies that sometimes it's not easy. And it's not. And I'm going to do all I can to say this in love, Dave. I hear you. I understand where you're coming from. I know that you disagree with the legal position that this board takes on the cases that Mr. Connolly is working on for us. And honestly, if I were on the opposite side, I wouldn't want Mr. Connolly working on the cases either. He's an excellent attorney, and he does a good job. Things have happened in the county because disagreements, specifically the airport. I'm not going to rehash them. Some of them have been done here. But those things, some of those things require legal action. I'm glad we've got Mr. Connolly to be able to help represent this board, represent the people of the county, in those legal matters. I know Dave, I know you care about the people of this county. I know you care about the budget, and I know you care about how we spend money. I don't question that at all, and I say that sincerely. You and I have had conversations about how saving even a few dollars makes a big deal. And so I don't question your desire to be fiscally responsible with the money that the citizens give us. I feel, however, that this discussion is less about that and it's more political. It's a stirring of the pot that doesn't need to be done. And it's quite honestly not the first time it's happened. You and I had a conversation at the town hall meeting the other night, last week. And the saying that you hear sometimes, you hear it said we could disagree without being disagreeable. And you know, the conversation at that town hall got a little heated, and at the end of the night, you and I shook hands and smiled and had nice words, and I told you how much I appreciate you getting this town hall set up, and it was a good conversation. We can have these conversations without stirring the pot, and we can have these conversations without trying to get people worked up, and that'd be my preference.
Thank you, Ron. Mine too. So, citizens still wishing to speak, call Lynn Beckleen forward to talk about new business number 3.
Good morning, Chairman Carmichael, Commissioners.
Good morning.
The whole last hour has been over the airport. The whole debacle of the airport, and I don't believe there's a person in this room that is against general aviation. The problem is, Mr. Carmichael, you sit on both boards. You have the authority, or should exercise the authority, to get the airport to make Mr. Smith adhere to the contract. If he chooses not to, then bring before this board a joint lawsuit against Mr. Smith to get out of the contract. It's either time to fish or cut bait. We have paid millions out on this airport on promises that he has not made. You are the one, and the only one in this whole room that sit on both boards. Do what is right, not what you want, but do what is right for the county. You cannot fly a commercial plane. If you want to go up and play in your Cessna, fine. I, for one, and for most of the people in this room, choose not to have a commercial airport. Either make Mr. Smith pay the price or walk away from the table. Thank you.
Mr. Wayne McCauley, would you still like to say something?
Yes, I would.
I think it's afternoon now, gentlemen, so good afternoon.
You're correct.
As a resident of this county, born here, didn't move here from some other state or nothing else, born here, Main Street of Dallas, I don't mind paying taxes, but I do mind my tax dollars going on, and we use the word airport. The gentleman, the attorney, I would rather see him get my tax money to stop this commercialization of this airport than I had to see that money be spent on that airport. That airport and everybody in this room, and you too, Mr. Carmichael, because you were in on it from the beginning, knows that airport was done illegally. It was against the voters' wishes. I've been standing right here and reading this the whole time I've been standing over there. And I see some places where this is not going on. Elected officials is not doing what they're doing for the voters of this county. They're pushing for something that the county turned down. I would rather give that attorney sitting right there every tax dollar that comes in, other than what Gary and his men get. We have to divide it between him and Gary, because Gary and his men ain't got what they need. They don't have the equipment they need. This 139 can be stopped. And it appears to me, from what I've seen here this morning and the talk I've heard, and I do know that the FFA said that if the two boards could come together, then something could be done. Well, personally, if I was sitting up there, I'm elected by these people in this room, and they say we don't want an airport, I'd never built it. With money men that wanted to bring their planes from Cartersville to Paulding County. We paid. I hear time and time again on the way taxes are being spent. I hear state, federal grants. Duh, people. State and federal, where do they get their money? Right here. Everybody take the wallet out and look at it. They're wasting your tax dollars on something that shouldn't have never been, but we're doing anyway. It's time for this county to come together. I say make it work, general aviation. It'll work that way. Look at Cartersville. Look at Kennesaw. Look at Charlie Brown down there. They didn't start out getting rich overnight. Let's just stop the airport altogether. Go general aviation. I don't care how much of my tax dollars you have to give to an attorney. I don't care. Fight it as long as you got to fight it. And I hope everybody on that board will make that decision. I'm tired of tax dollars getting wasted. Now, gentlemen, y'all have a great afternoon. I'm going home and get me some lunch. I think y'all might want some too.
Thank you, Wayne.
Dave, I'd like,
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna make a motion.
Yeah, would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, I was just gonna make a motion, if we could, that we move the, public participation on, I'm sorry? Oh, sorry. I'd like to make a motion that we move the public participation on non-agenda items to now, before we go to executive session.
We have a motion to move the public participation on non-agenda items forward before we go to executive session. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries 5-0. So we'd like to have Ms. Chris Bynum come forward and talk about the airport trees.
Nobody pronounces my name right. It's Byrom, B-Y-R-O-M. Most people mispronounce it, and they say, like, Miss Baroom. I said, no, that's how you start your car. Yeah, so just so you know, Dave.
I apologize.
It's okay.
I didn't see the horror.
9 out of 10 people mispronounce it, so not to worry.
Go
okay.
by rum.
Byrom.
By rum.
Yeah.
Go by
okay.
rum.
By rum.
I got a lot to say, so I got to Thank you. I was unable to attend last week's Airport Authority meeting, but I did have the opportunity to watch the video online. In Mr. Tibbetts' State of Affairs speech, which was clearly nothing more than a political speech to discredit the 3 post-commissioners who are running for re-election this year, he said pine trees were cut down at the airport. Were any of these trees that were cut infested with pine beetles? But before you answer, I would like to say that I am so sorry for the unfair treatment you received at the Airport Authority meeting. I can't express how appalled I am by Mr. Tippett's misleading statements about the board's relationship with the airport in his deliberate intent to deceive the public. In his desperate attempt to discredit you, he made false and very biased claims that not only offended you, but also the tax-paying citizens of Paulding County, who spend hundreds of thousands of dollars supporting the airport every year. He conveniently omitted from his propaganda that the county gives the airport a yearly allocation, which this fiscal year alone is $325,000. In addition, we also make the $3.6 million taxiway expansion bond payments that both Brett Smith and the Airport Authority reneged on, and between the two, we're spending roughly $750,000 of our hard-earned and much-needed tax dollars on the airport per year. And all we received for our contribution from Mr. Tibbetts last week was a slap in the face. And as inexcusable as Mr. Tibbetts' tirade was, people are just as upset with you, Mr. Carmichael, for not defending this board and the residents of Paulding County against Mr. Tibbetts' misrepresentations. Your silence is indefensible and tells us once again your loyalty lies with the Airport Authority and not the Board of Commissioners. You more than know about the county's contributions to the airport and that the county's lawsuit does not interfere with general aviation activities since it exclusively addresses commercialization. Mr. Tibbetts also appears to be confused about the county's role at the airport. The IGA, implemented in 2014 by the previous board and the AA, robs the county of any managerial authority of the airport. Yet, Mr. Tibbetts blames you for not going beyond your contractual requirements to pay for the airport's unexpected problems, like completing the corporate hangar, paying to fix the fire pump, filling the sinkhole, etc., etc. The airport cannot have it both ways. And to go as far as saying the county did not assist with the 120-acre fire at the airport when the county's fire department handled that emergency is disrespectful to you, the citizens, and our fire department. And it was ridiculous for Mr. Tibbetts to say this board should drop all legal action since you, quote, made your point for free, quote, unquote, by passing Resolution 1501, which renounces county support of commercialization. We all know commercialization was not grounded by Resolution 1501, as Mr. Tibbetts stated. Why? Because back in January 2015, Calvin Thompson and the Airport Authority responded to Resolution 1501 by sending a letter to the FAA that basically said 1501 doesn't matter, and they urged the FAA to expeditiously issue a Part 139 certificate for commercial service. That blatant disregard of the county's position is what initiated the county lawsuit, a lawsuit to protect the county as a co-sponsor under the grant assurances, since commercialization imposes liability and regulatory burdens directly on the county, not the Airport Authority. Mr. Tibbetts knows, as well as the citizens know, that if the county drops their 139 lawsuit, we'll have large passenger jets flying into Paulding County in a heartbeat. If Mr. Tibbetts wants all lawsuits to end and development of the general aviation airport to proceed, he knows that too can happen in a heartbeat if the Airport Authority withdraws the Part 139 application. Look, we all realize that the outcome of commercialization hinges on this election if the lawsuits are not resolved by the end of 2018. This election has the likely potential of determining whether Paulding County will have a commercial airport or not based on who sits in your seats in 2019. With so much at stake, it's no surprise that desperate people will do desperate things. Still, that is no excuse for devious behavior. Once again, I would like to say I'm very sorry for the unwanted ridicule that you received from Terry Tibbetts, and I thank you for your continued fight against commercialization, which costs us a whole lot less than a commercial airport. And Todd, thank you for standing behind the residents of Post 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Byram.
Thank you.
That's
the conclusion of our regular business. I would entertain a motion at this time to adjourn.
I believe we have
Make
executive session.
a motion to go into executive session for real estate, potential and pending litigation, and we've got quite a few things to talk about other than this issue, so we could be a while.
We have a motion to go into executive session for real estate, potential and pending litigation. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Mr. Davis. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn. We're adjourned. Or go in.
I know it. Yep.
Call the meeting back to order, and we have no action to report on, but we do have some motions.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to add to tonight's agenda to authorize Smith Connolly and the Board of Commissioners to agree to participate in the mediation on the airport litigation cases.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I will second that.
Second by Commissioner Pownell. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I think it's great. We have another opportunity to get to mediate on all the cases. I would like, though, to ask if it's okay for Chuck Connor to kind of explain it.
Be fine.
There are other
Check the mic,
pending
Chuck.
lawsuits.
Check
Turn on the mic. Sorry.
There are other pending lawsuits related to the airport that Paulding County is not a party to. And I was recently contacted by some of the attorneys that are involved in those other cases about the possibility of having a mediation that would not only resolve those cases, but would, in theory at least, resolve all of the pending lawsuits surrounding the airport. So at least at this point, there's been a certain level of interest expressed in doing that. There's been a proposed date and a proposed mediator, but I would say that we're still waiting final word from everybody that is in fact going to happen.
And the Georgia Department of Justice would be...
It's actually the federal department, the U.S. Department of Justice,
Okay.
and the reason they are involved is because some of the other lawsuits that we're not a party to involve the FAA, and when the FAA is involved as a federal agency, they are represented by the Department of Justice. So it's really one of the Department of Justice lawyers that's been spearheading this effort to try to bring all of the litigation together for one mediation.
And we have a date picked out that they're trying to...
Right now it's March the 14th. There's been some discussion about having a 2-day mediation. There are some conflicts on the 15th, so it's at least theoretically possible that it could be the 14th and the 16th, assuming that it goes forward.
Thank you.
I think that's very good.
I think it's an exciting development myself, so
It is an exciting development, after all that we hear from time to time, to maybe this board will have an opportunity to move forward along with the airport authority and all, and I'm looking forward to it.
any other comments or discussion? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Is there any other motions?
Yes, I got one more motion I'd like to make. I'd like to make a motion to show the General Assembly that Senate Bill 418 and House Bill 948 we are not in favor of.
Well, you want to add a resolution that indicates that.
Okay, in a resolution that indicate that, and also that we get a copy to Ms. Virginia Galloway as soon as possible.
Lonnie, do you want to elaborate on that bill?
Wait a minute, the motion.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, we got a motion for 418 and 458, I believe it was.
Senate Bill 418 and House Bill 948.
And that motion is to for us to discuss it and put on tonight's agenda
Correct.
as a resolution?
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Pownell, and we've already begun the discussion, but, any other comments?
Yeah, in the discussion, I would like to discuss it now. These two bills, they're being called the puppy mill bill. But it's a lot deeper than that. What this is attempting to do is a power grab. They're trying to take power away from the local governments, and they're trying to tell us when a business is operating and they're under the federal food administration.
Yeah, it's the USDA, the FDA, or the Georgia Department of Agriculture.
That's
Any
correct.
one of them.
Okay, that they can dictate to us what can and cannot be sold, and we would have no say-so in it. So it's really deeper than just the puppy mill bill. I don't like the idea of the puppy mill bill either, though, because right now we have a great relationship with PetSmart and our animal shelter, and those animals are taken to PetSmart, and that's why they prefer to do business. But this will allow someone else to come in and say, we're not going to use the animal shelter pets, we're going to just use the pets that people raise in their backyards. And now we got more and more of them stuck at the animal shelter. So this bill is really kind of twofold. But the thing that really gets me the most is that it is a power grab to start telling local governments what they can and can't do.
Well said. Any other comments? Okay, hearing no other comments, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
I'd like to make a motion now, if I could, to reopen discussion on new business item number 3.
We have a motion to reopen the discussion on business item number 3. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Pownell. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Motion carries 4-1.
I'm going to say a few words. I'm going to ask if we can get Chuck to come back to the microphone. I love executive session. It's a good thing. It gives this board an opportunity to discuss things that don't need to be in public just yet. This morning, Mr. Carmichael quoted some things off of an invoice and talked about the relationship that he had and the information he had from Mr. Connerly. I think that was, I tried to handle my comments in that in a respectful manner. The verse there that Deidre printed for us, without knowing that we were going to have that discussion, from 1 Corinthians, let all that you do be done in love. And so I tried that, and we got into executive session, and during the discussion of some of the litigation and the pending litigation, some things came up that were not part of legal strategy, and I wanted them to be discussed here because that had been started out here. That discussion needed to be finished out here. Mr. Connerly needs an opportunity to explain some things. There was a representation that I forget the exact quote, but not a lot has been going on. Meant one thing that it didn't mean, and there was a very important meeting that had been left off of the explanation of what had been going on with the relationship between Mr. Carmichael and our attorney. So if it's okay with this board, I'd like to ask Mr. Connerly to come to the microphone. And Chuck, if you could explain the meeting and kind of what had happened, I would appreciate it.
Sure, and this is in the context of responding to what I understood to be two comments from the chairman this morning. One, that either myself or my firm had only been in contact with him 3 times in the last 6 months, I believe is what he had said. And that in my most recent conversation with him on Friday, that I indicated to him that the reason I had not been in touch with him is that there had not been a lot to report. And then my recollection of the events this morning is that he then showed the invoice from my firm for December that showed, I don't remember what the number was, $14,000 or something to suggest that there had been a lot going on in December that would seem to be inconsistent with my statement with him on Friday. So before I start, I would like to hand out to the board, this is a document that I prepared a few weeks ago that's titled Paulding County Chronology, and I don't know whether, okay, I'll just hand it to Frank. If you look at this document, it is a 6-page document, and it's not in narrative form. These are all just bullet points, and they're bullet points with dates and events. And they are the dates and events that are important in the litigation that we've been handling on behalf of the county. And I don't know, I didn't bother to count them, but I'm just going to guess there's probably 50 or 60 different dates that are indicated on these pages. And it begins with September the 24th, 2015, which is the date my firm was engaged to represent the county in these matters. And it goes all the way forward to January the 5th, 2008, so I guess almost 2 months ago. So it was an effort to show the important dates, the important events from the very day we were engaged all the way through January the 5th, 2018. And the reason I prepared that is because I had scheduled a meeting with Chairman Carmichael for January the 18th to go through in great detail everything that had occurred in the pending litigation since the time that we got involved. That meeting occurred. The chairman was there, Frank was there, Scott was there, and my recollection is that we met for 2 hours in the conference room back there going through this chronology and going through in great detail all of the events that have led us to where we are, and then discussing what I envision to be the things that are going to come up in the near future. Now, this followed on the heels of a conversation that the chairman and I had during the holidays, and then most recently I've had a conversation with him on Friday to discuss the proposal to mediate all of these cases that we just talked about. In addition to all of that, we have had, I don't know how many board meetings in the December and January time frame that I've attended. I want to say it's at least 3, but I may be off one way or the other, where I have debriefed not only the chairman but the rest of the board members about where we are on all of this litigation. So I would count that from December as being at least 6 opportunities where I've had either meetings with or conversations with the chairman to talk about what's going on in the pending litigation. So as it relates to myself and my firm, I think it's disingenuous to say that we have not been keeping the chairman in the loop as to what's going on in these pending lawsuits, as evidenced most recently by the January 18th meeting that we had, in which we went over this 6-page chronology, and that was just a month ago. When I told him on Friday that the reason he hadn't heard from me is because there hadn't been any real developments, I was referring to the fact that since our January 18th meeting, there had not been any developments. And that was a true statement. The thing that changed was this proposal to mediate the case, which is the purpose of my phone call on Friday. So I just wanted to be clear that is in fact what has happened in the case. As it relates to the December invoice, there were a number of things going on in the November-December time frame, including filing briefs and all on certain appeals that have been filed, and certain responses to petitions for certiorari. So there were things going on in the December time frame which are reflected in this chronology that we went over on January the 18th. But I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
By way of response, the last invoice that I had was December. The January invoice had not come out, and like I said, these go back to July, and the amounts or December was typical of the amounts each month. My greater concern, which seems to be lost in the part about the attorney that I said was an excellent attorney and a gentleman, is that I am disturbed about the county suing the county and paying money for it. So I'm not going to go back into it and recount all of my remarks, but as chairman, as the CEO of the county, I need to be able to communicate with my fellow board members, which I have over the course of several months. And I just think that we need to get past this. We need to get past the Board of Commissioners suing any other entity in the county. We need to work it out like adults and people that put more emphasis on a solution than just what my personal opinion might be on any issue. I just think we ought to be able to work together better than we are. We've got a lot of good things going on, and I think in a lot of, in some regards, we're doing excellent. But like I said this morning, I don't want to be a 90%er. I want us to be 100%, 110%. I do appreciate what you do, Chuck.
We should all be excited then, because we're having an opportunity to mediate, hopefully in March. Man, if you can put pressure on other sides, and they might want to mediate. But you know what? This is great. Everybody in this county says, let's get this behind us. So let's mediate. Don't let anybody back out.
I totally agree with that. If we can mediate this and move it forward, I'm 100% for it, to put this airport issue behind us, the lawsuits behind us, and to move on.
Any other comments? Any other comments?
I'm excited about the opportunity to get around a table and talk and to mediate. I think that's where things are done. That's where it should happen, and I'm looking forward to that. I thought that was something that would happen in December of 16, and that's been one of my prayers ever since then, that we could get back to that. So I'm looking forward to that. Chuck, I appreciate your work. I appreciate the board's work, and
no other comments? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Chuck, I'd like to apologize for the way your company was discussed this morning. That was unfair. I'm sorry it happened.
I agree.
Ditto.
Fine.
No other comments or discussion? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
A motion, we adjourn.
A motion by Commissioner Davis to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Collette. All those in favor say aye.
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 Stand adjourned.